I was seeing a lot of nonprofits, but I was like, but where are they? And I started asking people, name 3 nonprofits off the top of your head. And the only thing I would get would be St. Jude. Um, that's about it. And nobody could come up with more. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of them, but what are they? What are they doing? Which brings me to a step up challenge that I'm doing as well. But the gap that I saw was there was no connection between all of these different nonprofits and the resources that are needed. They're scattered, and then there's some grassroots ones that are working really, really hard, but they'll never get the coverage. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, you too can be this big connector to connect all of these, and we could have kind of this big resource Bible in a way, um, to whatever people need, it can be there.
So are you actually taking other nonprofit organizations or assisting kind of organizations? Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Trustcast Show. And really excited to have Candace Nicole Thompson with us. And let me read you a little bio here. Hi, Candace. Welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me.
So Candace started her career working with people who'd been declared incompetent to stand trial, helping them understand the legal system that was about to decide their fate. And that work led her to found YeahYouToo.org, a nonprofit that covers 13 different areas of need, from mental health to food assistance to sober living, because she saw that most organizations only solve one problem at a time. And then I have an opening question. Your very first job in mental health was helping people who'd been declared incompetent to stand trial. What was that work like, and what did it teach you about how broken the system is?
That was probably my favorite job. It was so interesting, and what I learned was to get to know the patient first, and then read their file. Because if you read it first, you'd be scared to work with them. Some of the things that they had done. And it did show me, how broken the system was, because the system was, I saw a lot of experimenting with different medications
Mhm.
on the clients. On I saw that some of them out ever. It was more of a prison.
So when you say broken, the system's broken, are you talking about the judicial system or the mental health system?
The mental health system. Yeah, yeah.
So when you say that, so they're never getting out. So whenever I think of the mental health system, people who get infirmed anymore in a mental health system, that back in I think it was the 80s, they kind of threw open the doors and said, oh, you can't just hold people indefinitely in the mental health system anymore, because they used to just, when they it seems incredible, but back in the 70s and early 80s, you could just put someone in there and keep them in there for an extended period of time. And now that's changed a bit, but you're telling me no, it hasn't in some cases.
No, it hasn't. A lot of them had some horrific crimes, and that's what they were not going to trial. So a lot of them were in. So there were very few are in. There was very few cases. I'm hearing an echo. Sorry. I'm hearing an echo. There were very few cases.
So hang on just a second. So I think I can cure the echo. So, but it'll just take a second. I'm going to stop it, and then I'm going to try to turn on this echo thing, and then we'll be right back on. So I'm just going to stop it. So did that stop it?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. So, there were very few cases. One in particular was a very young man who saw his father, beating on his mom, and he got tired of it, and he retaliated, and the father was deceased. Um, his mom came and saw him every day, um, and he did end up getting out. He did end up getting out, but I saw in the mental health system, I've seen clients who were actually ready to go back into society, had been there almost 20 years and had privileges. They were able to go out, do things, have privileges, but they switched their medication and they started acting out. And that's when I
And
saw
after they got
that
out or within
they
the
used
facility?
no, while they were about to get out. Mhm. And they switched their medication because it was a new medicine and
So they
they
changed
tried
the
it on them,
medication.
especially the African American ones. They changed their medication. Mhm. To try a new one.
Right before. Oh, to try to help them or
I wouldn't say that. I would say it was just a new medication and sometimes I wouldn't say to help. Um they didn't need it. They were about to get released. I saw this in front of my own eyes. They were about to get released and they had a new medication and they said it was like a trial and they used this trial and he ended up throwing hot coffee. I got hurt. This was completely out of character for this person. So I've seen that happen.
was that isolated or you seen that happen more than once?
I've seen them change medications more than once, but this particular one was I ended up getting hurt in this one, so I know exactly what happened in this case, because I ended up getting pretty hurt, by that client, and they asked me, "Did I wanna press charges?" And I'm like, "For what? No." You know? This is, it was very sad to see.
So what do you say to some people who are very worried that like someone's in there, they've had some sort of criminal action and they're obviously mentally ill and they get them on medication and they seem like they're recovering, doing better and then they stay on the medication, they're really good, but if they get off the medication, they're who knows what's going to happen. And then society as a whole says, well, I don't want them to come out because how do I know they're not going to stop taking their medication?
Well, in those cases, medication alone is not the answer. So I would say that medication along with therapy and skill building is what is going to keep you together. Medication by itself is never just the answer. But some people are nervous for with people that are on medication and they get off of that medication. There's a lot of different medications that are safe. But I have seen where some physicians get paid to, prescribe certain medications. That's not a secret.
Mm.
So in that case, I believe that's what happened.
So, um, what made you walk into a career working with forensic mental health patients instead of something easier?
Well, I always love studying the mind. I always wanted to be in psychology, and in high school, I did my senior project at the place I ended up working at. So and I ended up getting a job there after my senior project. So I was kind of an intern, and I worked there for a few weeks, and then it turned into a job, one of the best jobs I've ever had. I learned so much.
So you moved into working with individuals with developmental disabilities, where
Mhm.
progress might be one new skill over months. How did
Yes.
that shape your definition of success now when you had to face
Ooh.
that with?
Yeah, now that was completely different. It taught me patience. Because it's repetitive. A lot of the teaching is repetitive. However, once they make that step and they do something new and they get the hang of it, it's such a, oh my god, it's such a great feeling,
Mm.
when they finally get it. Even if it's just them tying their shoes, you know, or getting in the shower, or can feed themselves. I've had that, and then I went into the group homes, for, troubled teens and things like that. So I've been doing this a long time, but I would say that is what taught me a lot of patience, and the success was like a delayed gratification almost.
Mm. So walk me through the moment you decided to start Yeah, You Too. And that, so that just so that everybody knows how that it's YeahYouToo, and that's .org. What gap were you seeing that nobody else was filling?
I was seeing a lot of nonprofits, but I was like, but where are they? And I started asking people, name three nonprofits off the top of your head. And the only thing I would get would be St. Jude. Um, that's about it. And nobody to come up with more. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of them, and but what are they? What are they doing? Which brings me to a step up challenge that I'm doing as well. But the gap that I saw was there was no connection between all of these different nonprofits and the resources that are needed. They're scattered, and then there's some grassroots ones that are working really, really hard, but they'll never get the coverage. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, you too can be this big connector to connect all of these, and we can have kind of this big resource Bible in a way, um, to whatever people need, it can be there.
So are you actually taking other nonprofit organizations or assisting kind of organizations, and then just you're not building them, you're acting as a connector. Is that right?
Yeah. Connecting them and showcasing them. Yes, correct. So that's why we have the different sectors for veterans, for domestic violence, for, there's a lot of different nonprofits, but
I have them on here: domestic violence, ageism, addiction, discrimination, mental
yes,
health, and more.
yes. Hmm.
So how do you decide who's going to end up on that list? Because there's some nonprofits that are maybe not really nonprofits, and then there's other ones that are doing the Lord's work. Oh, if you pardon the expression, but I mean, I don't know why you would need to pardon it, but some people these days I just never know.
You don't have
Um,
to with me. It's the Lord's work.
so
I
some
Go ahead.
so how do you determine who you're gonna put up on your site, and basically you're endorsing them, right?
Yes. Yes. So it comes out. easier than you think. If you're not doing what you say you're gonna that's what you're doing, it's gonna show, and it does show, and
So
it's a lot of different people who are getting found out, who are going for, tax evasion, they're getting arrested, it's coming out. But what I usually do is when I have conversations with these owners and with these founders and see the work, that's usually a big indicator of that conversation and what their mission and their vision is, and does it match what they're doing?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. And then how do you, so you've got, you say your founder's letter that you created this so people can fight back, fight back against what specifically?
So, when you said pardon, when about the Lord's work, I believe there's spiritual warfare. I believe in spiritual warfare, and I went through a lot of lived experience myself with trauma and depression, anxiety, things of that nature. And so, actually going through these things, I was that's where I came up with the big part of Yeah You Too, because when you're in this trauma loop, if you will, you you think you're the only one going through it, and then you feel alone, and then even if you get a doctor, you still feel like, who hears me? Who sees me? And I wanted that for people out there to be able to be seen. And in that founder's letter, to fight back against what's holding you back.
Okay. So you said you've had your own personal share of trauma, or do you feel, can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, sure. Um, Sexual abuse, domestic abuse, um, addiction. I um I used to self-harm. I was in a dark, dark place.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was in a dark place.
And so what helped you kind of overcome that? Or do you feel like you still have those demons there that you're facing?
I think you always have to fight those demons every day. You do. I don't I'm not saying that I'm not better, or, but I do feel
Mhm.
like you have to constantly fight. Just like in addiction, I mean, you're always an addict. You never stop. It's a journey. It's not a destination. It's always a journey. And I believe I went through this to help other people. But going through these things, I would say, yes, I always will fight those demons, and because now I'm a parent, and so I fight for my son to stop generational trauma and intergenerational trauma. I've watched my father go through things. I watched my mom go through things. I've raised my siblings, so because of these things, and I was like, it has to stop with me. And so I
Mhm.
let other people know it has to stop with them.
So you raised your siblings. So
Mhm.
um, what was going on with your parents? Is that part of the traumatic part of your childhood, or you just had
They're
to
very
provide a safety
Yes.
net through?
So that was part of it. My father passed away in 2010. He committed suicide. My mother has an addiction to alcohol and was unable to care for my siblings.
Mhm.
And my sister is 17 years younger than me, and but she graduates nursing school next year. So
Congratulations.
doing awesome. Shout out to Hannah and my son Zion. He's 7, so I started late. But yes, that is a part of what I had to go through. My mom was in and out of my life. Um,
So
and
so your YeahYouToo doesn't take monetary donations? Because I was just about to ask you. So I do a little bit of research here, right now, but you accept supplies like first aid kits, clothes, and school supplies instead. Why that model? I mean, don't you need money?
yes, yes, I had to make sure that, our 501(c)(3) was fine. We can now. We can now. But before then, I just wanted to make sure that everything was legit and that we just took clothes and things, before that. So we can take monetary donations now.
And how long has your organization been in existence?
And for 3 years now.
For 3 years. Okay.
Mhm.
So you just launched Virtual Parent Rejuvenation Program for March 2026. What is that and why parents specifically?
I work with children and teens with trauma.
Mhm.
And what I learned was you do all this skill building with the children and you address the trauma with them, and they're great. They understand. They're in day treatment. And then they go home and it's out the window. And what I saw was there needs to be a prescription for the entire family. Because if the parents are not okay, the kids are not going to be okay.
Mhm, mhm.
And so, what came up with was the parent rejuvenation because it shows that you can be in a non judgmental space, a safe space, and learn wh- who you are as a parent. Where is all this coming from? And it comes from a lot of times from trauma and parenting from survival mode.
So a lot of times, the parents, you know, they might be, oh, for lack of a better word, let's just say messed up. And and whatever their background, something's happened along the life where, like you say, they face some sort of trauma. And they may not be as rational as you want. How do you get the cooperation? So like you're going in, trying to get the family to go along with kind of a almost a rehabilitation of where they are. How would you get a parent to go along with that? To say, "Oh yeah, Candace, you make sense. I want to change the way I am. And how can you help me? How can you get the parents to, cooperate?"
So, what helped me design this was because I had parents who were asking for help. They were like, I can't do this. I don't know what to do. And a lot of it was from um a lot of trauma from before they were parents that they never took care of. And a way that I think how I can get them to cooperate is to make them feel safe first. Let them know that they are heard. Let them know that there is no judgment. Um, and I think once someone feels heard and they feel safe, the rest kind of comes. They slowly open up. And we will do different exercises to identify how were you raised? A lot of times you're just doing what you know how to do.
Mhm.
And that I found that to be true a lot of the time. They're not aware, and they're just doing what they know how to do, but coming out of that parenting from survival mode, when your nervous system constantly thinks you are in danger, you're always going to snap at your kids. You're always going to hit them. You're always going to overreact because you're coming from a place that's not safe.
So how do you counter that so that you can get them to think about, and to feel safe?
So what I do is a lot of meditation, relaxation, box breathing, a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, um, thinking patterns. those are the type of things that I use to help them say, okay, this, I'm thinking of it this way because of what happened to me. And it's very trauma informed. It's not clinical, but trauma informed. So
So
it's
is
not,
there,
oh, go ahead.
no, I just said, I'm curious about that specifically. Are there like techniques and things that you use? Well, you said box breathing, but are there certain ways that you coach them? Well, when this is going on, then, try this, approach or.
Yes. So one in particular is the pause method, because a lot of parents have lost their children to the county because they simply didn't pause before reacting.
Mhm.
They lost it and they went off. And sometimes I've even heard, a unexpected bill came up and the kids pay for it, that way. They've done that. So um the pause method is before you react, before you say anything to your child, pause. Please pause. Taking a deep breath, name your emotion. What are you feeling? Name it out loud and then carry on, because you'd be surprised what that pause can change.
So you talk about connecting people to food assistance, diapers, sober living, employment, even for people with felony records. Walk me through what that looks like when someone reaches out to you for the first time.
So when someone reaches out, I partner with Dress for Success. I'm not sure if you are familiar with that, but Ohio Means Jobs. In May, I'm actually doing a female felons with a future job fair.
Hmm.
And what I do is I get a list. I mean, there are people getting out of prison every day. And what I do is a lot of them are getting out with just $20, in their pocket, and that's it. And in a probation officer. So
Wow.
the goal is to try to get them that $20 and a resume as well. So that way they can get out and do that. So the earliest, um, what I do is I get a list of people getting out, get them into what we would call a sort of a boot camp, where you learn to dress for a job, how you learn how to uh do your resume, um things like that. And then for YeahYouToo, we try to do things on to retain that job, your attitude, your attendance, things of that nature. So sometimes I get calls, hey, I'm at a shelter, I'm at a group home. A lot of times when they get released, they're in a halfway house, and meet with them and connect them with these jobs. But we are having a big job fair in May, the end of May, for that. And I'll do one
So
from it.
so it sounds like this sounds like a full-time job, but it sounds like a not paying job. So how do you support yourself while you're doing all this fantastic stuff?
Work. I work with children with trauma and behavioral health, and I also work with senior citizens with behavioral health until funding, all of my funding comes in, since we're kind of new on that. So I'm getting, a lot of doors are opening as far as funding and things like that, and we'll be doing a lot of fundraisers once the weather breaks as well. So
Mhm.
hopefully that comes with it, and I trust that it will.
So Ohio, what part of Ohio are you in?
Cleveland.
Cleveland, yeah. I'm very familiar with Cleveland.
Mhm. Where are you?
I'm in Seattle, but my wife's from Cleveland. She was born and raised there.
Okay.
Went to or in Parma Heights, and she went
Nice.
to
Wow.
John Carroll University, and
Okay. Yeah. That's my stomping ground. That's where I am.
yeah. So, here are some rapid fire things just for fun. First thing you do when you start your workday.
First thing I do, listen to music.
One resource you wish every community had.
Hot food.
Best piece of advice you ever got from someone you were trying to help.
I've been to hell. You've only read about it.
If you could add a 14th sector to YeahYouToo tomorrow, what would that be?
Ooh. Oh my God. Um, uh, something with foreign language. Something with foreign language. Yeah. I'm
So
not
the
sure.
phrase YeahYouToo, tell me about that name.
So yeah, you too came up because people say, well, I can't be helped because I'm broke. And I'm like, yeah, you too. You come on. Come on. I'm too old. You too. It's inclusive. You can come too. So, and we're also starting Yeah You Too Kids and Yeah You Too Teens as well. So
So mental health support in this country still treats crisis as the entry point, and by the time someone gets help, they're already kind of falling apart. How do we shift that?
I think we shifted by checking on people's mental stability in regular doctor's appointments, primary care, and not just do you feel safe at home? I think there should be assessments that, I mean, Cleveland Clinic has my chart and they have different assessments. I think assessments could really help and normalize it also in the workplace.
Hmm. So, what does the next year look like for YeahYouToo? What's the vision you're trying to build?
The vision I want to build in the next year would be the Step Up Challenge, where I have all of these different nonprofits shining a light on them and recreating something huge and beautiful and helpful. Um, also, funding would look comfortable, and Yeah You Two Kids and Yeah You Two Teens will be um will be up and running.
So tell me about, so if I'm go to YeahYouToo, tell me about the site, and why would I want need to go there? Why, and when I say I mean I'm a proxy um for if I'm having an issue. Tell me about what I'd find whenever if I go to YeahYouToo.
If you go to our website, you first will know that the person who made it, me, you'll know my struggle and you're not alone. You will then see that we have what our vision is. You'll know our mission. Um, Almost whatever you are looking for, we have it or we'll find it for you.
And
Not
does this is this mainly for the Cleveland area, or are you trying to expand this
I'm
out?
trying to expand it. Yes, not just for Cleveland, for everyone.
Okay.
That's why the parent rejuvenation is virtual and it's free. So it's not just, here in Cleveland.
And so do you have online meetings, or how does the
It's
oh
gonna
you have online?
start Saturday, tomorrow. Uh, it's gonna start tomorrow from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And all you have to do is sign up with your email. We send the link and we go from there every Saturday, 1 to 2.
And then you go to YeahYouToo.org, and then
Yeah.
you can sign up right there.
You can sign up there. Yes.